Welcome to Phillies Postgame Live, presented by our friends at Cure Auto Insurance. Ricky Pitalico, Michael Barkan. Not the night tonight for the Philadelphia Phillies. They go down to the Mets 2-0. Ricky Bo, we can't forecast what's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm just saying, Max Scherzer's on the mound for the Mets. I know Aaron Nola is for the Phillies, but this would seem to have been the one you wanted to get.
Well, you look at who you had on the mound. Obviously, with Zach Wheeler on the mound, you're thinking to yourself, okay, we're probably going to get 4 or 5 innings out of him, and hopefully things go well out of the bullpen after that. It wasn't the pitching. It wasn't the pitching in this game. When you really think about it, you go back to Sunday. Sunday, there was not much offense. You go to Monday, there wasn't exactly a ton of offense except for that 8th inning where the Phillies exploded for the 5 runs. And then you move on to today, and again, the Phillies offense. And I think the top 4 in the lineup really have to start getting on some kind of a roll. You look at 2 out of the 4 of those guys are hitting 111. One of them's hitting 220, 211.
Castellanos is 211.
And then Real Muto had 2 hits today to boost him up to 235. Those guys aren't going to hit that poorly all season long. You know their numbers are going to come back. But, I mean, did you really expect all 4 of them to kind of be struggling at once? I think that's where they're sitting right now.
Yeah.
And to get the team rolling, it has to start from the top. So it's got to start from Kyle Schwarber on down. And if Schwarber's not getting the job done, and especially Bryce right now, I think that's the most surprising thing. The Phillies only had 5 hits. The Mets only had 3. So it wasn't like the Mets were tearing the cover off the ball either. This is a very winnable game that the Phillies just did nothing offensively.
Absolutely. Let's go across the street to John Kurk. He called tonight's game with Tom McCarthy. John, you heard what Ricky said about 1 through 4, and we throw around all these encomiums about the game, these phrases that I don't know if they mean anything, but I'll throw one at you. The lineup hasn't gelled yet. What do you think of that?
It looked pretty good opening day.
Sure did.
But, look, they had 5 hits tonight. JT had 2, and Nick Castellanos had 2. That means they got 1 hit from the other, 8 batters because Alec Bohm pinch hit. But, that just, it's not going to cut it. You get it. But, if these were a bunch of young kids coming up and they had all this potential, you could say, oh, boy, are they going to hit? These guys have track records. And again, it's only 5 games in. And, yes, would you like to see, Schwarber and Harper, Castellanos, Real Muto, and Reese all hitting at once? Hey, that'd be great. Realistically, probably not going to happen. It's just the way it is. One guy, 2 or 3 guys might go off at the same time, and 1 or 2 might struggle. Yeah, it's just the way the game is. And look, you got to give credit to the Mets pitchers. They pitched really good tonight. Megill was fantastic.
You know what, John, to go.
I tell you this. This game could have been cost because they didn't turn that double play. The ground ball to Camargo. They turn that double play. Marte can't steal the base, and Lindor gets a single, and who cares? 2-out single.
Are you a little surprised that the Phillies hitters aren't catching up to the fastball? Because I thought Megill gave them a lot of fastballs. I know he throws hard, and the same thing with Smith. But, I mean, were you a little surprised that that's the one thing that they didn't catch up to today?
Yeah, because, the whole mantra with Kevin Long is, hunt the fastball. But, but did anyone hit the fastball today? I think Nemo's home run was off a breaking ball, right, or change-up or something?
Yes, change-up.
Yes, it just didn't seem like anyone was hitting the fastball tonight on either team. And, that to me is a concern. Like, if you're struggling hitting the fastball, then you got some issues. Look, Bryce's last at bat, those are just slider after slider after slider from Diaz, who, was throwing 98 to 100. Good luck with that. I mean, I don't care how good a hitter you are. If he's throwing that slider where he was throwing it to Bryce, I mean, you just hope you can put a ball in play or hope he makes a mistake, and he didn't. But, yeah, it's concerning when they're not hitting the fastball because, that's what they're there for. I mean, if you're struggling hitting the fastball, you sure as heck ain't going to hit nothing else either. So, hopefully, tomorrow's going to be another challenge because, with Scherzer, because – I mean, how Max pitches. He might throw 96 and he might get you 3-0 or 3-1 and throw you one of the best changeups you'll ever see in your life. So it's a pick your poison tomorrow with Scherzer on the hill.
And back to Bryce Harper for the last one. I know he's going to hit. Full well know that he's coming off an MVP year, his second, but he had a double in the third inning of the opener, and he got a single tonight to right field, and that was a squeaker. Those are the only 2 hits he has. When you look at his first 5 games, what are you seeing that he needs to change?
Well, you saw what Diaz throwing 100, but he's throwing him all off-speed pitches, and it struck him out. What I see with what they're doing with Bryce is they're getting ahead of him, and look, he's in a position. I know he got great guys around him, Castellanos, JT in front of him, Castellanos and RISP behind him, but he gets pitched to differently than anyone in our lineup, and pretty much anyone other than Juan Soto, Mike Trout, and others. He gets pitched differently, and I think it to me mentally for Bryce, it's gonna take a little bit to understand, just how they're gonna work him, because they pitch backwards. They throw off speed to get ahead, and then they throw fastballs after they get ahead up out of the zone, and Bryce has been chasing it. And the hardest thing to do, and as a hitter, especially a middle of the lineup hitter, is try to figure out when they're pitching to you and when they're pitching away from you. Are they going to pitch to me, or are they going to pitch around me? And I think right now, Bryce is I don't want to say he's confused. I just think that he has to watch, and I'm sure he does. I'm sure he works with Kevin Long extensively on video, how they're pitching him, and it just seems like, the harder the guy throws, the softer they throw to him when he comes up to get ahead.
All right, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Thank you, John. Always appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow. John Kurk in the booth with Tom McCarthy. Hopefully a W indeed as we look inside the box score. And you mentioned Kyle Schwarber. You mentioned 1 through 4. They got to do what they need to do. Real Muto certainly did 2 for 4. Almost, we thought he might score a run tonight. The first run of the game for the Phillies. Bryce Harper, 1 for 4. And again, that was something Jeff McNeil couldn't come up with. And he ended up with a single.
You'll hear me.
1 for 4.
You'll hear me say you live and die with runners in scoring position, right? Oh, Phillies 0 for 7. That's one thing that in the box score does not lie. You could look at the box score and you look at the runners in scoring position, you see 0 for 7, and you know where the fault lies in a game like this. It was a two-run game. Phillies come up with a couple big hits, and it's a completely different ball game. You come up with if Reese comes up with a big hit there in the ninth, completely different ball game, right? At least they put themselves into a situation where they had a chance to at least tie the game, if not win the game.
Mm-hmm. Here's Joe Girardi postgame.
Seems like just bats, not swinging the bats.
Yeah,
that great the last 3 days.
You're going to go through that during the course of the season. We're not, but that's not my concern, right? These guys are going to swing the bats. I have no worries. So we're just going through a little hard time right now, offensively.
Wheeler had that long first inning, then got into a groove. I don't think his velocity was going down a little bit. You wanted to send him out there for the 5th inning.
Yeah, his pitch count was down. And initially, we figured that McCann would be his last hitter, but he got 2 outs and 2 pitches, right? So then we let him go, and he threw a great game. And you got to, I look at it as he got better as the game went on, and he's still developing arm strength. I mean, this is really like his 3rd start of spring training. So Sanchez, everybody threw the ball really well. Sanchez threw the ball really well. Proud of what he did. So those are good things.
Megill's not exactly a household name, but he seemed to have it working tonight. Just what made him so effective?
Well, he's got good stuff. He's a high-velocity pitcher, as a starter. He's got a good breaking ball. He's got a good changeup, and he used them really effectively tonight. His last start, he threw really well, too. And there were times that he threw the ball great for the Mets last year. So, we're not surprised. We knew that he had good stuff, and he executed tonight.
Did you think of Bone getting a little standing there?
Philadelphia, as I said, is a great place to play. They want effort. They expect you to be honest and take responsibility. And he did all those things. And, you know, he got a great ovation. So I applaud the fans because it probably meant a lot to that kid, because I'm sure last night was a tough night for him. But the fans responded great to him, and it probably means a lot to him.
What did you think of Real Muto's base running in the ninth, from first to second?
I've seen him do that a number of times, and that's one of the reasons I've talked about hitting him second, because he's such a good base runner. And he swung the bat good tonight, but it gave us a chance, right? His hustle, and we've talked about that, in the clubhouse. And Paco really works hard with these base runners. Don't take for granted it's an out. It can mean the difference in a game.
You guys get any clarity on Knebel for tomorrow?
Not yet.
Is there any added concern about, Bryce's slow start to the year?
No, he's the least of my worries.